Today we continue to listen Mettā Bhāvanā to extinguish the flames of angers. In the Visuddhimagga, it mentioned in 10 verses. One of the reflection is the nature of Nama Rupa. Rupa and Nama, mind and Mettā, are transient by nature, and they are occurring only for a moment, followed by dissolution instantaneously. Such Rupa and Nama are seemingly thought as having done wrong to you, have already dissolved in an instant. As soon as the anger arises, that mental state disappears immediately, and also Rupa also disappear. So these Rupa and Nama are no longer there. They have disappeared altogether. So at the present, could you pinpoint that mind and Mettā in that person of the enemy with which you are angry? New Rupa and Namas which have subsequently occurred are not doing any wrongful act or harm to you. So those which are considered as having done harm to you have already vanished. So there is no meaning in being angry with that Rupa and Nama. That means that Rupa and Nama with which you are quarreling now no longer exist.
I know I'm getting it back.
It is one of the reflection. Every moment Rupa and Nama are coming new. The moment anger arises and it disappears, and also Rupa disappear at that moment. Another reflection is if one is causing misery to the other, both the doer himself and the person who suffers are the prime factors which produce the effect of misery. So both of them, both of the doer and the person who suffer are responsible for the causation of misery. If that is so, since you yourself are not free from blame for the cause of misery, why are you angry with the doer only? The person who suffer are also responsible. So these are the 10 verses mentioned in the Visuddhimagga to extinguish the flames of anger. If by reflection, as indicated in the 10 verses, anger cannot yet be subdued, then you can reflect upon karma, the resultant effect of all good and bad actions done by you as your own property, in possession on which reliance is to be made to eradicate the anger. Kamasako, kamasaka, kamasaka. We are the owner of our karma. So you have to reflect in this way. Yogis, you are developing the practice of Mettā Bhāvanā. While being angry, what is your intention to do against the other? It is true that whatever action you have done based upon anger, we bring about evil effect or bad effect to your danger in consequence, because it is bad karma and bad result will come to you, because the karma is based upon anger. And your karma, the resultant effect of good and bad action you have done, is nothing but the cause of your own doing. Kamasako, karma is the only one which we really own or which we really possess. Kamasaka. So we are sure to inherit this karma, which constitute all kinds of willful actions, whether mental, verbal, or physical, thoughts, words, or deeds, either good or bad, done by us on our own volition. And karma is our own relatives, karma bandhu. Karma is our own refuge, karma parisarano. The karmic effect which occurs or takes place depending upon anger will not contribute to our achieving megaphala, because the karma is based upon anger. It will not lead to megaphala. And also it will not do good to us to be reborn in the worlds of humans and devas, where happy condition prevail. And it will not render help, but will only cause us to suffer misery in hell, etc. If we commit the evil karma or anger, it will be like a person who first suffer the burns and gets awfully dirty by holding and carrying in our hands the burningly hot coal or disgusting filth or excrement, with which we are going to cause uh, injury or misery to the other. And to the side of our enemy, Just imagine that person whom uh, you recognize as an enemy. What harm could possibly be done by him with his anger? With this anger that is generated by him, generated in him, be to his own disadvantage. So the karma is bad and the result will come out bad. So he too has his own karma as his real estate. Karma sako. He is the inheritor of his own karma done by himself on his own volition, etc. And the enemy who has done evil karma by being angry will suffer its harmful effect, just as a person on whom the dust will fall back by the force of wind. If he throw the dust to another man standing against the wind on the leeward side from an advanced position. So Buddha said, if a certain fool commits wrong against a noble person of purifying conduct, this wrongdoing will react upon him as a retribution, etc. Another way, if anger is not yet subdued by reflection as like this, it should be suppressed by reflecting on the noble qualities of the Lord Buddha or the attributes of the Lord Buddha by his various states of existence previous to attaining Buddhahood. So you have to reflect in this way. O yogi, you are disciple of the Lord Buddha, you are teacher Lord Buddha in his capacity as a bodhisattva, that is in his existences prior to attainment of his enlightenment. For a period of 4 asinchaya, 4 incalculable and 100,000 world cycle, while relentlessly exercising or fulfilling the virtues required for a bodhisattva to accomplish the parami, perfection. So our bodhisattva had practiced forbearance or patience or khanti without polluting his mind with anger, even against all sorts of murderers who are his enemies. So the way of practicing patience by our bodhisattva is illustrated in Visuddhimagga, beginning from the story of Silawa as an example. Our bodhisattva did not have anger to his enemies, even in his mind, And finally, he made the enemy as a friend. Now we have to listen the Kandiwadi Jataka. Kandiwadi Jataka. So at one time in the ancient days, during the reigns of King Kalabu in the city of Varanasi, our Bodhisatta, born of a high caste Brahmin, was a multi-millionaire possessing 800 millions. When his parents died, they left behind all their wealth and properties. So it had occurred to Bodhisatta that now my parents were unable to take along with them what they own on their death, though they were able to accumulate immense wealth. When they die, everything left behind. So now on my butt, I will take these properties with me on my death. So Bodhisatta reflected in this way. So he generously gave away all his possession in charity to those who deserved. Thereafter, he went into a retreat in one of the forested areas of the Himalaya. Then he assumed the role of a hermit. So the hermit name was a Kandiwadi, who always say patient. So Kandiwadi hermit lived only on fruits which were available in the forest. However, there was no salt for consumption. So in order to have proper and adequate nourishment, Kandiwadi the hermit made his way to villages where there were people to get salt and sour fruits for his own personal consumption. Eventually, the Kandiwadi hermit reached the city of Varanasi. And when going rounds for arms in the city, the commander-in-chief of the army found Bodhisatta, the Kandiwadi hermit, worthy of reverence. So the army general respectfully invited him to his residence to accept the offer of meat. Later, the general requested him to reside in the presence of the king's royal garden. So the hermit Kandiwadi accepted to stay there. So he continued to stay in that royal garden as his place of retreat. While the hermit was so residing, or one day King Klabu visited the royal garden in the company of his queen and maids of honor, together with a large retinue, to hold a ceremonious function. The ceremony was held comprising a series of performances of music, etc., on a magnificent and spacious marble slab within the precincts of the royal garden. So the King Klabu enjoyed the festivities, watching the displays of music, songs and dances. After taking a lying posture with his head resting on the thigh of a young lady he adored. Merrymaking, including the dance with accompanying music, formed part of the celebration taken part by professional artists and maids of honor from the royal palace. While listening to the soft music, the sweet melody had lulled the King Klabu to sleep because it's so comforting. And finding the King Klabu in deep sleep, the troupe of female singers and dancers stopped playing music for a moment and roamed about the garden for sightseeing. While making a walk in the garden, they came across the great hermit Kandiwadi, the Bodhisattva. So they approached him wishing to listen to the preaching which he might be inclined to give. At their request, the great Kandiwadi hermit delivered a sermon appropriate to the occasion. At the time, the maid of honor on whose thigh the king had pillowed his right head maneuvered her limbs to wake up the king. So the king, when aroused from his sleep, found none of his retinue and maids near him. So he inquired, he asked, where are they gone? And the maid whose thigh had served as a cushion for the king's head answered, the whole crowd had gone to the great hermit. She replied, and on hearing this, the royal monarch became furious with jealousy. Then he picked up his sword and hurried his way to the hermit, and he uttered with an uncontrollable anger, I will give the hermit a good lesson, he said. Seeing the king raging with anger, one of the maids of honor close to him caught hold of his sword and tried to calm him down. However, the king Klabu's anger remained uncontrollable. And the king asked the Kandiwadi hermit, what's your name? My name is Kandiwadi. the person who always say patient. So what is the doctrine which you profess? And the great hermit replying, my principle is the doctrine of Khandi. What do you mean Khandi? So it is tolerance exercised by one without feeling angry against those who provoked. It is called patient Khandi. Then the king Labu told the hermit, so I will put you to a crucial test to find out if you are really accomplished with Khandi. So the king Labu ordered his servant, the executioner. Executioner, you better pull down this evil thief. The hermit lay him prostrate on the ground and punish him with 2,000 lashes by whipping with a twisted cane fixed with sharp pointed pins on all four sides of his body. The king ordered the executioner. So the executioner gave the hermit 2,000 lashes as ordered by the king. Just imagine, ordinarily, a person will surely succumb to be dead, the injuries received, if he has to undergo a penalty of 2,000 lashes. Curiously, the great hermit Kandiwari was found still alive, possibly because of his noble qualities of Kandi or because of relaxed or slack force put in at the time of whipping. We don't know, we're gonna say, because of the noble qualities of Kandi or because of the slack force put at the time of whipping. We don't know. However, the thick outer and inner thin layer of the skin covering the flesh of the entire body of the hermit was grievously torn. Flesh was also torn to bits. Blood flowed out profusely. Just imagine how severe the pain and suffering would be that the hermit had to undergo. In spite of this ferocious ill treatment, the great noble hermit harbored no anger, no ill will, no grudge either against the king or the executioner. So this is a crucial punishment imposed without reason or fault whatsoever. So it is really injustice. Injustice. Ordinarily, such a treatment would induce anger and malicious feeling. Now all yogis are practicing Mettā Bhāvanā, and this kinds of patience, indeed, this kinds of forgiveness calls for the spirit of emulation from yogis who are developing Mettā. Finding the great hermit stay alive, the king asked him, "What doctrine you are practicing?" And the hermit replied, "I firmly hold the doctrine of Khanti, patience." And the hermit said, "O king, do you think that this patience can be traced in the skin of my body? Khanti is not underneath the layer of my skin. Khanti or patience reside in my hearts of the hearts. Khanti never runs out." So on hearing this, infuriated by this mental attitude, King Klabu more angry, and he ordered that 2 hands of the hermit be cut off. "Stay here, Khanti." So he ordered 2 feet be cut off, and the ears and the nose be sliced off. And the executioner strictly complied with the king's orders and cruelly cut off those bodily limbs with an axe. Every time the limbs was severed, the king asked, "What is the kinds of doctrine accepted by you?" The reply the same. "I held firmly to the doctrine of patience, which found its abode in my heart." The hermit replied. So eventually, the king uttered in disgust, "You cunning hermit, you better live on holding your own country. Better live on carrying your own country." So saying in this way, and the king foully kicked the hermit in the breast with his foot, and then departed. After his departure, when the king Glabu reached the gate of the royal garden, he was swallowed down by the earth. So it mentioned in the commentary that the wicked king Glabu was dragged down to Awiji hell, enveloped in burning flames. Thereafter, the commander-in-chief of the army came over to the great hermit and tendered his apology. He apologized not to feel angry and bear malice against the country. Thereupon, the Khandiwadi hermit gave his reply, "Yo mihatecha badecha kanana sinja chedayi chiran jivatu sauraja nahi kojanti marisa." The hermit said to the general, O Commander-in-Chief, King Glabu has caused my hands and feet, the ears and nose to be cut off. May King Glabu live long. May King Glabu live long for being able to develop Mettā without getting angry. Noble and virtuous person like me are not used to get angry. And noble and virtuous person are able to develop Mettā with best wishes and goodwill and not being accustomed to get angry. So all yogis who are developing Mettā through meditation in accordance with the teaching of the Lord Buddha, our enemy who has done wrong to us will not be as bad as King Glabu. So it is proper for all yogis to be patient without getting angry, just as the great Khandiwadi hermit was able to endure with patience and with no anger and the affliction of the heinous crime committed by King Glabu. So when yogi practice meditation, yogi understand the teaching. One of the encouragement is patience leads to Nibbana. You need to be patient in the practice of meditation. Before practicing meditation, you need to train to be patient. First, you take the precepts. You take the precepts, right speech, right action, right livelihood, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, daily life, and drinking. So when you be patient, you do not follow to lobha and dosa. Lobha and dosa, desire and anger, and then your sila will be perfect. Then when you practice meditation, samasati, samavayama, right effort. Right effort. When you practice meditation, you try to be mindful of the object at the present moment. And you have to make an ardent effort to be mindful of the object. And the effort you make is one factor in the Eightfold Path, that is right effort. If you be patient, right effort will be produced. With right effort, you try to be mindful of the object, and your mind hits the object continuously by the power of your patience. So your mind hitting the object continuously is by the power of the patient. That is called right mindfulness. So you patiently note continuously and meticulously, ardently. So when the right mindfulness becomes stronger, you come down and your mind as it were goes into the object and stay there. So going to the object and staying there for a certain period of time is what called samasamadhi, right concentration. Now, because of your patience, you continuously and meticulously observe the object and concentration getting strengthened. When you gain concentration, your mind becomes calm and the mental hindrances are subdued. When mental hindrances are subdued and your mind becomes still and you begin to see the objects clearly, more clear than before, and you see the nature of the object, you start to see the nature of Namarupa and you see that Namarupa arise depending on some condition and you see these objects come and go. So you see their impermanent nature. When you see the impermanent nature, you also see their suffering nature. Suffering here means being constantly tormented by arising and disappearing. When you see the impermanent nature and suffering nature of Namarupa, you also see the anatta nature. That means you have no control over these Namarupa process. They arise and disappear as their own accord. And also you see that they are only the mind that is making note and the object that is taken as an object. So there is no other things which can be called self or soul. That means you see the anatta nature of Namarupa. So seeing the objects clearly and so on are what is called samadhi, right understanding. So based on your patience, the more you patient, the more you continuously practice, the more you patient, the more you meticulously practice and observe. So you gain concentration and you gain the right understanding. So there is a story of Kandiwadi and the patient in the practice of Vipassana. So we will continue next week. We have to stop our discourse for today by practicing Mettā Bhāvanā, by practicing patience, by developing patience, and by observing every phenomena occurring at the six senses continuously and meticulously. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.